Hey folks, it's Shane. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. Recently, I volunteered with the Sawyer County Aries Group in Wisconsin to provide radio comms for an event called the Berkie Binder. Stick around and we'll talk about it. The Berkie Binder, or most people call the Berkie, is a weekend cross-country ski event held up by Hayward, Wisconsin. There are several races in the Berkey weekend. Of course, the big race, the Berkey Binder, which is a 55-kilometer race. Then there's also the Kurtalupit race, which is just a mere 29 kilometers. I volunteered to help out with the Kurtalupit, or the Cordy as we call it, because it's a lot easier to say. And this race, like I said, is 29 kilometers long, and we have 3 first aid stations along the race that people will check into. And they're pretty well set up, as you can see here. They got a nice little 2-room warming house, heated inside with a wood stove. The side on the left of the screen is the first aid station, and the other side is kind of a kitchen area where they prepare the food and drinks for the racers that are coming by. Outside, you can see we got a sheriff's deputy and a couple medical service providers, along with a regular volunteer that handles the food and drinks and whatnot. They are set up pretty well, as you can see here on the top slide, or the top picture of this slide. They got spare ski poles for racers that come through and they break them. They got all the different sizes so they can the racers can continue with a loaner pole, if you will. And of course, this main reason is for first aid, so they have sleds set up with snowmobiles so they can go out onto the trail to rescue anybody that's injured that can't make it to the first aid station. This is later on in the day where more of the casual skiers, as you can see, come in. The race starts off like most races where the competitive people start in the first wave. They go through. During this race, there were some people that were at the Olympics a few weeks before. They came flying by here faster than I thought anyone can go on skis. Didn't bother grabbing any water or Gatorade or anything because they were just getting warmed up at this stage. But as you can see, as the waves progress, it came to more of a social, casual event, and people would, come in and stop and BS with each other for a little while, pose for pictures, all that kind of stuff. So it was pretty cool. But for my duties, as you can see, I got to wear the reflective coat, and I provided radio comms for the race. Not for the medical folks, but for the race itself. Basically, when skiers came in, and if they're going to drop out, whether it's a minor medical issue such as blisters or a pulled muscle, or equipment failure, break a binding or what have you, or maybe they just call it a day and had enough of the race, I would radio in their bib number to the race control center so they can log which racers are still on the course and who have dropped out. Just kind of a keep tabs on everybody, make sure that nobody gets left behind, so to speak. Far as anything major events going on, I was supposed to be the backup comms in case folks with the medical and law enforcement needed me as a backup. But of course, they have their system down pretty pat, so that was never needed. Overall, it was a great time. We had, I think, over 3,000 racers come through for the Cordy over the course of the day. So I got to hang out with some pretty cool people, made some friends, played radio. It was just a good time. Already signed up for next year. Now, like I said, it's more of a community service event than what I did as far as the ham radio aspects go. There were, like I said, some minor medical things that were just radioed in and the people left on their own. There was one instance where somebody had to be taken off the course by a snowmobile, and it wasn't anything serious, they thought it was best to bring that individual into the local hospital via ambulance. And I had zero involvement on the radio comms for that. I did radio in that person's bib number to the race officials to let them know that they were off. As far as the emergency comms went, no involvement at all. The ambulance crew obviously has that down pat. So that's always been kind of a topic for me, where we talk about how is ham radio a hobby or a service? And a lot of people are dead on that it's a very critical service. Some people think it's just a hobby these days because of the advancements in emergency services radios. For me, I'm kind of in the middle. I think it's a community service for events like this. Hams like you and me, we can go out and provide comms for cross-country ski races, marathons, town events, county fairs, that kind of stuff. Far as being in the eye of the storm, so to speak, like if there's an earthquake or tornado or other disasters, are we going to be relied on? Years ago it'd be a different story, but nowadays I really don't think there's that much. There is a lot of redundancy and use with the emergency services the way they are. Could we be a backup or could we be a supporting role? Absolutely. We could augment emergency services, in my opinion, but that involves us, the hams who are involved with areas and races, to be a lot of involvement with the local emergency services. We need to get out in front with the sheriff's department, the fire departments, all that kind of stuff. But going off on a different subject here. Anyways, the Cordy was a lot of fun, and I look forward to doing it next year. And also next year, I'm going to be doing some other winter events, a few dog sled races. So I'm really looking forward to that. So that's about it for this video. Thanks for taking the time to watch it. I'll catch you next time.